Everybody ought to be able to have a decent house. Everyone ought to be able to feel safe in their neighborhood. Everyone ought to be able to have access to services and facilities.
Sister Diane seemed to have a gyroscope, an internal gyroscope, that gave her clarity about the needs of our community.
Esperanza Community Housing is 30 years old this year. We were founded because in the mid to late 1980s, a group of community residents that were being displaced from their family homes came to Sister Diane to complain that they had just been given notices to evict.
This was just a few years before the civil unrest of 1992. We were going through a very, very challenging time in South Central Los Angeles, and her concern was, where are folks going to live? So we formed, with a small board, Esperanza Community Housing Corporation.
So in addition to Sister Diane as the executive director, it was Melanie Stevens as the Economic Development Director, Alice Salinas, who is our young and very brilliant and fierce Housing Director.
First, Sister Diane was the pillar in the foundation, and then Alice Salinas and Melanie built the first layer of bricks.
I was the first occupant at the Casa Esperanza, staying right in the heart of Los Angeles at the most minimum cost you can think about, and then having my kids to go to USC. It was really a blessing for us.
Sister Diane actually found another property over on Maple.
And we were able to build 33 3- and 4-bedroom family units with a community center and a Head Start program below. Via Esperanza has been the flagship of our housing portfolio, which to date contains 9 buildings. I was recruited into Esperanza in June of 1995 as the 4th staff woman, and my charge was to develop and direct the health agenda for this organization. Shortly after I was hired, we hired Elizabeth Eve to bring her arts and science curriculum to children in the neighborhood, and then finally Jadira Arevalo.
My specific role here at Esperanza, as Sister Diane wanted it, was to develop educational programs for families, mostly for children and youth. We were there for 16 years. That's the proudest moment for me.
There was this beautiful moment when the 6 of us represented 6 different decades. Although we came in at different times, there was really an all for one and one for all ethos about the organization. Working with Sister Diane was one of the greatest joys of my life. Part of it was this gift of trust and respect and freedom to do the best work that I possibly could, no matter how wildly experimental. And I have to say that in the first years of the Promotora program, it was absolutely experimental.
Me gradué en 1996 del programa de promotoras. A mí me ayudó personalmente cómo controlar el asma de mis hijos y a dónde llevarlos y qué preguntas hacerle a los doctores.
The Promotora program was designed to provide community members with a comprehensive community health education so that they could translate and navigate that information to members of the community and then to lead that community to change. Every graduation is a source of immense pride. And so after 23 years of providing this training, we now have a cadre of 533 men and women who have gone through this program. And so what started as the freedom to create has really blossomed into an institutional force and a national model. We have also developed community responsive health programs.
For me, the Promotoras training has been a life-changing experience. The Healthy Homes, Healthy Breathing program started in 1998. It started with lead poisoning in the 22 census tract. A lot of the kids that were coming from that census tract had high blood lead levels. So the Promotoras knocked on 1,700 doors in that census tract, empowering the community and creating awareness.
We're here in an area of Los Angeles that's considered a hot zone where women who are pregnant and children under the age of 6 are at risk of lead poisoning. Community promoters want to make sure everybody knows how to protect themselves.
The Healthy Homes program has now evolved to the Healthy Homes, Healthy Breathing program.
Respirando Saludable es un programa donde se hacen visitas en casa. La meta del programa es reducir las siglas de emergencias, pero sobre todo que el asma esté bajo control.
Actualmente trabajo en el proyecto Esperanza Lanterman. Trabajamos con familias que tienen un miembro con necesidades especiales. Buscamos recursos dentro de su comunidad y también les hablamos de servicios que pueden obtener dentro del centro regional, pero muchas de las veces ellos no conocen.
The promotoras are that bridge between the health system and the issues that they have in their home.
In the late 90s, we decided at Esperanza to try to really tackle the pervasive poverty and underemployment in our area of South Central Los Angeles.
Melanie Stevens, she had this idea to have a mercado similar to the mercados that we see in Latin America and in many other parts of the world.
Yo estaba un domingo en casa viendo la televisión, esas las noticias donde se va a abrir un mercado en Los Ángeles, un mercado para la comunidad. Al día siguiente fue el lunes, me vine, me recibió Yadira, hice con ella una entrevista y después de eso nos dijeron, ¿sabes qué? Sí calificas. ¿Cuál es tu nombre que le vas a ponerle? No, pues Taquería Vista Hermosa. Lo hice pensando en mi pueblo, que llevo en mi corazón.
We pulled together a group of potential entrepreneurs and we found a space that was a former garment sweatshop.
I remember the process of coming in and seeing first just complete destruction after the demo, and then slowly how it started turning into this beautiful space. And finally, in 2001, my dad opened his first restaurant, which was Chichen Itza restaurant here at the Mercado. I remember when we came in the first time, the Mercado was ready.
This is a great day. Would you not say so?
My dad would not have been able to start this business if it wasn't for the infrastructure and the support that the Mercado provided. About 2.5 years ago, opened up Holbox.
Since the beginning, we had this idea that the Mercado should be more than a Mercado.
Mercado has surpassed our expectations. We had hoped to see economic development through the Mercado, but I don't think we ever could have envisioned that it would become the kind of community centerpiece that it has. But the Mercado in many ways has become that soulful place for our community to gather, to be together, a place where people break bread and break barriers.
The Mercado, for me, it's a community treasure in South L.A.
And so upstairs and downstairs, we now have two intentional communities that are serving this community and creating a vibrancy of pedestrian and economic life that did not exist before.
As a lifelong resident of historic South Central, I'm grateful for Esperanza's investment in building community space, but also for their investment in building community leaders. And I'm proud to say that I found my purpose and I found my voice when I became a promotora and a community organizer to help spearhead Esperanza's People Not Pozos campaign.
Our initial approach in environmental health was really focused on the indoor environment. And from 2010 to 2013, our community was poisoned as a result of emissions coming from an oil and gas extraction site. And so we found that people were getting headaches, were getting nauseous, they couldn't see straight. We had children who were being taken to the emergency room for nosebleeds. And so we responded by creating a community-based campaign called People Not Pozos, or People Not Oil Wells, and also began to use our health leadership and health knowledge to look at health effects.
Nancy's vision to focus on the health impacts and to push forward a narrative that was authentic to the community experience are the reasons why we gained rapid momentum and why we were able to put a spotlight on an injustice that had been happening in our neighborhood for decades. Although it was a major win for us when Alanco closed, we knew that it was temporary. So we continued to build a movement by hosting demonstrations, utilizing popular education to build awareness around what was happening in our neighborhood. And we also inspired a younger generation of leaders to get involved.
Learning about everything that was going on in our community gave us the courage and the knowledge to start our own youth group and to take on the city of Los Angeles for a right to clean air.
We also went after the answers that regulatory agencies had failed to provide, and by partnering up with local universities and a team of promotoras, we were able to install air monitors throughout the neighborhood and collect health surveys so that we could advance the research when it comes to oil drilling in neighborhoods like South Los Angeles.
Ain't no power like the power of the youth, because the power of the youth don't stop!
We are at the leadership of a collaboration called Stand L.A.
Our main focus is to establish a 2,500-foot buffer between petroleum extraction facilities and sensitive land uses. We want to shut down Alanco permanently. What we would like to do is repurpose that property into community benefit.
I've got great dreams for Esperanza. It's stability and endowments that help to keep it growing and keep it strong. But that we also remain at the leadership of our kind of relational community building. And it is our intention and our mission that we continue to deepen our diversification of opportunity in our organization and in the community to make South Central Los Angeles a more equitable and successful place to live.